State's next witness.
State calls Michelle Czarenski.
Okay, if you want to step right up over here. And before you have a seat, if you could turn and face her and raise your right hand, she'll place you under oath.
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in the matter now before the court, so help you God? Yes. Please have a seat and state your name for the record. Michelle Czarenski. Michellezarneski.
Okay, and with that, the witness is yours, Mr. Saunders.
Thank you. Can you tell us how you're employed?
I'm employed with the City of Green Bay, the Green Bay Police Department, in the Forensics Unit.
And how long have you been employed with the Forensics Unit?
Almost 5 years.
And can you outline for us what sort of training you've received for your current occupation?
I have an associate's degree in forensic science. I am a certified crime scene analyst through the International Association for Identification. And I have various other trainings related to crime scenes, including crime scene photography, alternate light source, and shooting recon.
And you've been sort of working in that capacity for the last 5 years?
Yes.
So can you outline for us, I guess, what are some of the duties you're commonly asked to perform for your department?
We were asked to process crime scenes. We would photograph, do videotape, search for evidence, and collect evidence.
And you kind of used the we. Are there other members of your team that you commonly work with?
Yes.
And who are they?
Kristen McMullen and Baeleigh Andrae.
And is it commonly the case that you sort of work in tandem with those people in the performance of your duties?
Yes.
For instance, if one person's photographing things, the other's collecting it, things like that?
Correct.
All right. So then I want to ask you about February 23rd of 2022. Were you working in that same capacity on that day?
Yes.
Do you recall responding to a residence on Stony Brook Lane on that day?
Yes, I do.
And was another member of your team with you?
Yes.
And who was that?
Forensic Specialist Baeleigh Andrae.
And what sort of information did you learn when you arrived at that residence?
That there was a body part located in a bucket.
And I guess at that point, that's the sum of the information you had at that point?
Yes.
What did you do at that point?
Once the warrant was signed, I was able to videotape the exterior and interior of the scene. And then Baeleigh Andrae did the photographs, and then I labeled the evidence.
So at some point when you're at the Stony Brook residence, are you involved in evidence collection?
Yes.
And can you outline for us what goes into you collecting an item of evidence?
Once we locate a piece of evidence, we would label it with either a evidence placard, or if it was a swab that needs to be collected, it would be labeled with a sticker. So each exhibit collected would have its own separate number or exhibit. Then it would be photographed, and then it would be collected.
And what sort of outfit or attire are you wearing when you're collecting these items of evidence?
We had a Tyvek suit on and rubber gloves.
And that's commonly in your practice what you wear during processing crime scenes?
These type of scenes, correct.
All right. And you did so in this case too?
Yes.
So you mentioned part of what you were doing was collecting items of evidence. Were you also taking swabs of various surfaces as well?
Yes.
And what sort of areas did you swab in this case?
If we located any kind of red substance that could possibly be blood, that was swabbed.
Okay. And did you collect a fair number of those swabs in the basement?
Yes.
Those were items that you were responsible for collecting and maintaining?
Correct.
Can you generally for us describe the process of what we mean when we're using the word swab.
It's like a Q-tip with a cap on it. It's in a separate package, so each swab is individually packaged. It's sterile. We typically have an assistant help us, so if I were swabbing, I would have clean gloves on and I would not touch anything. And in this case, forensic specialist Baeleigh Andrae assisted me with collecting these swabs, and she would open the package of the swab and then I would grab it without touching anything else. She would place a couple drops of distilled water on the swab without touching the distilled water to the tip of the swab itself to prevent contamination, and then I would swab the area of interest.
In addition to collecting those swabs of various surfaces, what sorts of items of evidence did you collect as well?
I collected a Clorox wipe container, a Pantene shampoo container. There was 2 dog choke collars I collected, a wooden box, a dildo, a shot bottle.
I guess as you're kind of going through the scene, does it become apparent certain items of that are located in the basement may have some evidentiary value?
Yes.
I want to ask about some of those in particular. You mentioned there were 2 dog collars that were located.
Correct.
And were those items that you collected and took into evidence?
Yes.
So I'm going to show you what's been marked as Exhibits 7 and 8. First, I'll ask, do you recognize Exhibit 7?
Yes, I do.
And what do you believe that to be?
It's a silver dog choke collar located on the bar table.
And how do you know that's what's contained in that envelope?
My evidence description.
Are there also various initials on the packaging as well?
Yes, there is.
And what do those signify?
My initials and then the date it was collected.
So for instance, MMC, does that refer to yourself?
Correct.
Okay. And you noted there was an evidence description. What does that information signify?
It lists the evidence placard from the scene that I had placed next to this exhibit. It's my description and then the location where it was located.
I'm also going to show you Exhibit 8. Do you recognize Exhibit 8?
Yes, I do.
And what do you believe Exhibit 8 to be?
Silver dog choke collar chain.
And how are you able to determine that?
Again, it has my description, my initials, and date.
So both Exhibits 7 and 8 were those items that you collected from the basement of the Stony Brook residence?
Yes.
And then once you collect an item of evidence, what happens to it?
It is placed in the evidence submittal room in a secure area.
Do you maintain custody and control of those items?
Yes, until it's placed into the locker.
All right. So you take an item of evidence from a location, kind of keep it in your custody and control until it's entered into the evidence room. Is that fair?
Correct.
Okay. You went through some of the items that you collected. When you were in the basement of the Stony Brook residence, did you also collect items that were determined to be knives?
Yes.
Okay. And do you recall approximately how many knives were located in that basement?
There were 6 of them.
Okay. Do you remember where they were located?
I located 3 of them in one of the bags, 2 of them in the pail, the black bucket, and then 1 of them in the teal tote.
Okay. And those 6 knives, were those items that you collected as well?
Yes.
Can I ask you about one of those in particular? First, I'll show you exhibit number 9. Do you recognize exhibit number 9?
Yes, I do.
And what do you believe that to be?
It's a knife with a silver blade and brown wood handle with red substance.
And is that an item that you collected?
Yes.
And if you recall, where was that knife collected from?
This was collected from a Jimmy Choo bag that was located on a TV stand in the basement.
Okay. And is that an item you collected from the basement and entered into evidence as well?
Yes.
Apart from your sort of description of what's contained in there, are there any other unique identifiers that helps you classify what that exhibit is?
Yes, it has my computer number, which is 543.
Okay. And then is that sort of a way for you to identify this is an item I collected?
Yes, each employee with the police department has its own 3-digit code.
And what item or exhibit number is that item, exhibit number 9 specifically?
543033.
And that's sort of a unique identifier to that item of evidence?
Correct.
Apart from your time, and before I leave actually the basement, when you're collecting these items of evidence, you mentioned Ms. Andrae is with you as well.
Yes,
Is she photographing essentially what you're doing?
correct.
Okay. And apart from your time in the basement of Stony Brook, did you process any other scene on February 23rd of 2022?
Yes, I did.
And where was that?
It was in our off-site storage location.
And I guess what did you process?
It was a Chrysler minivan.
At that point, it had been brought to the your, I guess, secure facility?
Yep.
Okay. And what did you observe or locate in the van?
We observed a crackpot box with a human remains in it. We collected several swabs from the door handles of the minivan.
The crockpot box that was located, did that contain any objects?
Yes.
And what did that contain?
I'm sorry, say that?
What did that box contain?
I believe it was human remains inside of it with some clothing.
I want to then ask about, those were items we've talked about that you've collected. Was there a date that you subsequently assisted Ms. Andrae with processing the specific items themselves?
Yes.
And I guess what items were processed?
The crackpot box, the Schott bottle, the Clorox wipe container, the knives.
And by process, what do we mean?
They were rephotographed. The knives were swabbed and photographed with scale. And then some items were dusted for fingerprints.
So when you're at a scene and you're swabbing a particular area, there are sometimes you do swabs on scene. Is that fair to say?
Correct.
But are there times then where you later, with individual objects, process them further?
Yes.
All right, and that's what was done in this case?
Correct.
While counsel's reviewing those exhibits, were you the one physically processing those exhibits on that date?
On the 25th?
Yes.
I was photographing.
Okay. And who was physically doing the swabbing of those items?
Forensic Specialist Andrae.
But you sort of photographed the exhibits during that process?
Yes.
ask you to thumb through those and then let me know when you're completed.
Okay,
Do you recognize exhibits 10 through 15?
yes.
And what are those?
Exhibit 10 is a photograph of a Clorox wipes container. Exhibit 11 is the Schott bottle. Exhibit 12 is a photograph of the back of the Schott bottle. Exhibit 13 is a photograph of a knife. Exhibit 14 is a photograph of the knife with scale. And Exhibit 15 is a photograph of a crock-pot box.
Are all those photographs that you took in this case?
Yes.
One of the things you mentioned earlier on in some of your duties sometimes, I believe you said alternative light source, is that right?
Yes.
And what is that?
ALS is a light that uses specific wavelengths to detect certain kind of materials like biological fluids, like bone, latent prints, anything that's not visible by the naked eye.
Is that something that you're trained to perform in?
Yes.
Was that done in this case?
Yes.
Can you describe when and where that was done?
It was done on the 24th in the basement.
And what specific areas were you looking at and utilizing that alternative light source method?
We used the ALS at in the shower at the basement and then also near the mattress.
And what sort of, I guess, can you describe the process of ALS in terms of like what are you looking to locate?
We were looking to locate any type of biological evidence, specifically blood. When you use an ALS, the blood actually will absorb, so it'll appear as a dark color. At that point, then, if we locate anything, we can swab it. It's more of a presumptive test, and those swabs will be sent to the crime lab.
Essentially, you're detecting things that you couldn't see by your naked eye.
Correct.
All right. And that was done on the 24th?
Correct.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Czarenski. I have nothing further, Your Honor.
Cross-examination, Mr. Freilich.
Thank you. When you say the 24th, are you talking about February 24th of 2022?
Yes.
And you utilize the alternate light source method to as part of your investigation?
Correct.
Tell me a little bit more detail about that. Is it a light or what is it? What kind of device is it?
We actually had Schwaber on Public Safety come in with their Crime Light Auto. Holly Moss is the one who conducted that, so I just assisted her with it. It's a light that uses different wavelengths to be able to detect anything that you can't visually see by the naked eye.
What was that lady's name?
Holly Moss?
Holly Moss?
Correct.
So she was the one doing the ALS at Stony Brook in the basement, correct?
Correct.
And you were there to kind of observe?
In assist.
Okay. So on February 23rd of 2022, were you called in to help with the scene at 829 Stony Brook Lane?
Yes.
Were you called by Lieutenant Detective Brad Strouf?
No, I was called by now Captain Pagoon.
Okay. And both you and Specialist Andrae met up at Stony Brook?
Correct.
Did you pull up in one of those big police evidence vans?
We arrived. Baeleigh, Andrae, and I both arrived in our crime scene truck.
Okay. That's a special truck for crime scene processing?
Correct.
You've got all the supplies in the truck?
Yes.
And you rolled right up in front of 829 Stony Brook?
Correct.
And then you met with Lieutenant Strouf then at
Yes.
the house?
Correct.
And then a short time later, Detective Scanlon arrived on the scene?
That's correct.
And then you also met with Patrol Sergeant Kurt Brester, correct?
Correct.
Then Sergeant Brester gave you some information about the scene, correct?
Yes,
Gave you some details?
correct,
And then you had consent from the homeowner to kind of process the scene, correct?
correct.
And then Detective Scanlon gave both you and Specialist Andrae kind of a walkthrough of the house, correct?
Correct.
Did you just go in the basement, or did you go upstairs? Did you go in the kitchen area? Did you go through the whole house? What did you do?
I videotaped the entire house.
Okay. But when you went inside, did you go inside all of the areas of the house that you can?
Yes,
Okay, so you went upstairs, right?
I did, correct.
Okay. And you videotaped the exterior of this house, correct?
Correct.
An investigator or specialist, Andrae, photographed the house as well.
Correct.
Was that the interior?
She did the interior and exterior as well.
Okay, so you both took video footage of, or you took the video footage inside and out, and she took pictures inside and out.
Correct.
Okay, trying to understand that.
Yeah.
And then were you told that you had to wait because the Detective Scanlon was waiting for a search warrant?
Correct.
And you were told to wait until that process was complete, is that right?
Correct.
And after that, then you had the green light to go and do your investigation, correct?
Right.
At some point, Detective Cassie Pacala arrived as well?
That's correct.
So then you went upstairs and videotaped upstairs?
Correct.
Did you see anything that was concerning upstairs?
Not that I recall.
You had to turn on some lights in multiple rooms to get a better view, correct?
Correct.
And then at some point, is it fair to say that the Brown County investigator Petra Schwab came there?
Correct.
And also the forensic pathologist from Dane County, Dr. Vincent Tranquita, he also arrived?
Yes.
A lot of people at the house, correct?
Yes.
There were some cell phones on the kitchen table, those were collected, correct?
Correct.
And then you assisted with collecting these different phones, correct?
That's correct.
One maybe it was a blue one, or two blue ones and a black one?
I don't recall what colors they were.
They each had a different colored case, correct?
Yes.
And then you did some swabbing of DNAs on these cell phones, is that right?
I don't recall if I swabbed the cell phones.
Okay. You did a lot of different swabs of the door and the locks and the handles and all of that, correct?
That's correct.
You did swabs of diapers downstairs, toys, flooring, correct?
Correct.
You entered and collected different items of evidence, correct?
Correct.
Fair to say that on the floor in the basement living area of Stony Brook, you collected a black and purple pipe?
Yes.
And on a TV stand, a clear and white glass pipe?
Correct.
And on the TV stand in the basement, a green gem bag with a crystal powder?
Yes.
And on the TV stand in the basement, a Samsung cell phone, correct?
Correct.
Did you go with Dr. Tranquita and look around in that basement area as you come down the stairs and go to the right?
Did I go with doctor?
Yes.
He was there.
Did you walk around though to look at things?
Yes.
Okay. Did you see a black and blue Jimmy Choo bag?
Yes.
Was that on the TV stand?
Correct.
And inside of that, was there anything in there?
There was bags and then there was some human remains in there as well.
Okay. And then, did you see a pink and black Under Armour bag?
Yes.
Where did you see that?
That was on the floor next to the bed.
And when you say bed, are you talking about stacked mattresses?
Correct.
Okay. And Dr. Trankita moved that Under Armour bag, correct?
Yes,
And he was the one that removed the contents?
correct.
Were you there when he was doing that?
Yes.
And where was that Under Armour bag, do you know?
It was on the floor,
By a dresser or a bed?
next to the mattresses on the floor.
Okay, thank you. And did you list all of the different things that you observed down there?
Yes,
And gave them all exhibit numbers, correct?
correct.
I think you mentioned finding a dildo, correct?
Correct.
Where was that?
I believe it was in a closet.
Okay. Down in the basement?
Correct.
So if you come down the stairs, if you go to the right, would you find it, or would you find it if you went to the left?
To the right.
To the right? In a closet, was it on a shelf?
It was in a brown box, wooden box,
Okay.
on a shelf.
Was the box open or closed?
I don't recall, I think it was closed.
Okay. Did you open it? Did you open the
I
box
wasn't
to
the
see
one
what
who
was in it?
located it.
You located it?
I didn't locate it.
Okay.
I was informed that it
Okay.
was there.
But then you went to take a picture of it, correct?
Correct.
And did you open it to see what was inside the box?
Yes.
Okay. When you photographed it, did you take it out?
Yes.
Okay. On the mattress or on the bed, was there a cell phone on there?
Yes.
Did you label that and take a picture of that?
Yes.
As far as reports are concerned, did Holly Moss do a report on the alternate light source?
Yes, she did.
On the shout bottle, did it have like charcoal on the outside of the bottle? Could you take a look
Are
at
you
that exhibit?
referencing this picture?
Yeah, that exhibit, I think it's 11. Is that charcoal or what is that on
No,
there?
that would be fingerprint powder.
Okay, what is that? Tell me what that's for.
It's to enhance fingerprints.
To see if there's fingerprints on there?
Correct.
Okay, did you see any?
Yes.
Did you dust for fingerprints on any of these other items that have been offered in evidence, exhibits 10 through 15?
I did not dust for fingerprints this day. Forensic specialist Baeleigh Andrae did.
Okay. Which items did she dust for fingerprints on, do you know?
I don't know.
Okay. When you went to the off-site storage, was that on the same day, on February 23rd of 2022?
Yes.
Do you remember what time you got to Stony Brook?
I don't recall.
Was it in the morning or afternoon? Do you
It
know
was
that?
morning.
Morning? Were you done by noon?
No,
How long were you there, you think?
quite a few hours.
Okay, into the afternoon?
Yes,
And then after that, did you go right over to the storage unit?
we did.
Okay. And in the storage unit, there was this gold Chrysler Town and Country minivan?
Correct.
And were you told by investigators that you needed to take some photographs and look at the contents of what's inside of that minivan?
Yes,
And then you dusted for fingerprints on the van as well?
correct.
Was Specialist Andrae with you when you went to the storage facility?
Correct.
So it was you, Investigator Andrae, Dr. Trankita, and then some detectives?
Yes.
Who were the detectives that were there?
Detective Scanlon, Detective Cassie Pacula. There was a few others as well.
Detective Groff or not?
I don't recall.
Okay. How long were you at the storage facility looking at the contents of the van?
A few hours.
Okay. Were you done by 5 o'clock, or did it go after 5? Do you
I
know?
don't recall the exact times.
It was a long day, though, correct?
Correct.
And when you got there, you had to put on new PPE gear?
Correct.
And what were you told to do when you got to the storage facility?
Swab the door handles, interior and exterior, the steering wheel, search for items of interest, photograph it.
Had anybody been inside the minivan before you got there?
Not to my knowledge.
The back hatch was closed?
Correct.
When you got there, then you saw it opened?
We opened it.
Who opened it?
I believe I did.
And then take me through what you did from there, could you?
Once we processed the back of the minivan, then we went to the passenger side, or the driver side. Opened the door and I seen the crock pot box there, and we searched that and located human remains in there.
In that minivan, there was all kinds of stuff in there, wasn't there?
There wasn't too much stuff in there.
Well, there was the crock pot box, correct?
Correct.
Was there a laundry basket in there?
There was.
And then there was all kinds of other items in there, correct?
There was like a cooler in the back hatch, just some other odds and ends, but it wasn't terrible.
Clothes?
Yes.
Flag?
I'm sorry, what?
A flag?
I don't recall.
But it filled up the back of the minivan, didn't it?
For the most part, I guess.
Okay. And the minivan windows, were they tinted?
I don't recall.
But the human remains were in this crock pot box?
Correct.
And who processed that?
Dr. Tranchita removed it from the vehicle and then removed the contents from it.
You didn't touch it, correct?
I touched it initially and realized that it kind of shifted and just kind of had an instinct that there was body remains in there.
When you opened the hatch, did you know what was in that box?
The crockpot box
Yeah.
that was in the driver's side passenger, the middle seat.
Okay. Did you know what was in the box before you opened the hatch?
No.
Okay. You were surprised?
Yes.
Who did this minivan belong to? Do you know?
I don't know.
You didn't get involved in that, correct?
No.
And then when the minivan was done being processed, then you packed it up and you left?
Correct.
You and investigator Andrae?
Correct.
And your title is forensic specialist, correct?
That's correct.
Can you tell me what does that mean?
We process crime scenes, process evidence that's collected by officers in our lab. We process evidence that we collect in our lab, document crime scenes.
Take samples,
Correct.
dust for prints.
Correct.
Are you fully trained to do alternate light source testing on your own?
Yes.
Why did you have Holly Mays there from Ashwaubenon then?
At the time that she had a better piece of equipment than we had, it was more up to date.
Okay. And can you tell me about that equipment quickly?
It's called a Crime Light Auto. It has a built-in camera, so for us to be able to do what she did, we would have had to photograph things with our separate camera and use flashlights to be able to identify what she was able to identify all in one.
Okay. What is the device like? What does it look like? Does it look like a flashlight, or what does it look like?
It's kind of like an iPad.
Okay.
It's got a camera lens in the front.
Okay. All right. All right, nothing further. Thank you very much.
Redirect? No. Okay, thank you. You can step down.
Okay, thank you.
Your Honor? Your Honor?
Are you offering those exhibits?
Yeah, I can do it now. would move 7 through 15.
Any objection?
No.
Those will be received.
Your Honor, could we take a short break? I need to.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take an afternoon break for about 10 minutes. All rise for the adjourn. Thank you. Saunders, anything to bring up before the jury brought back?
No.
Mr. Freilich?
No.
We're ready to go. Bring in the jury. Okay, be seated. Is the state ready to call your next witness?
Yes, the state calls Baeleigh, Andrae.
Okay, if you want to step right up over here, and before you have a seat, if you can turn and face her and raise your right hand, she will place you under oath.
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in the matter now before the court, so help you God? I do. Please have a seat and state your name for the record.
Baeleigh Andrae, Baeleigh, Andrae, Andrae.
Okay, and with that, the witness is yours, Mr. Saunders.
All right, can you tell us how you're employed?
I'm employed with the Green Bay Police Department as a forensic specialist.
And we just heard from Ms. Czarenski. Is she a colleague of yours?
Yes,
You work in the same unit?
yes.
Okay, and I guess in your words, what do you describe your duties as?
We process crime scenes, whether that's photographing, videotaping, collecting evidence, processing for fingerprints, processing for DNA. We also go out and collect surveillance video for cases, and then processing evidence in-house for fingerprints and DNA as well.
And can you outline the training you've received as part of your current occupation?
Yeah. So I went to UW-Platteville. I have a bachelor's in forensics investigation. I also have a bachelor's in criminal justice. And then from there, I've gone to ongoing trainings while I was employed with the Green Bay Police Department in their forensic unit related to forensic science for crime scenes, also for fingerprints. And then recently I've gotten IAI certified to certification for crime scene processing as well.
Okay. So I want to direct your attention to February 23rd of 2022. Were you working as a forensic specialist on that day?
Yes.
And did you respond to a residence on Stony Brook Lane on that day?
Yes.
And I guess what information did you have originally when you arrived at that residence?
I was instructed that there was a head in a bucket and that we were investigating a homicide scene.
So what was your role, I guess, in conducting that investigation?
I did all the photographs at the scene and then assisted with taking swabs and assisted with collecting some of the evidence.
And were you working with Ms. Czarenski?
Yes.
All right. So your role in photographing, you also assisted in collecting items of evidence. Is there anything that you maintained custody of yourself?
No.
Who was that done by?
Michelle Czarenski.
Okay. So your role was kind of more the photographing end of things.
Yes.
All right. All right, I'm going to show you what's been marked exhibits 16 through 54. If you could look at those and let me know when you're done. Have you had the chance to review all those exhibits?
Yes.
All right, and do you recognize each of those exhibits?
Yes.
And what are those?
These are all photographs that I took at the Stony Brook address of the scene and areas of interest and items of interest within the scene.
And were all those taken on February 23rd, 2022?
Yes.
Okay. And when you're taking these photographs, actually, I'll start here. Apart from Ms. Czarenski, are there other officers with your department as well as medical examiner personnel who are present?
Yes.
Are they all sort of involved in, I guess, locating items of evidence?
Yes.
The photographs that you're taking, do they depict the scene prior to removal or messing with some of those items of evidence?
Yes.
All right, so the photographs are done first and then an item is collected.
Yes.
All right. So the exhibits we just referred to in exhibits 16 through 54, do they appear to fairly and accurately depict the scene in the basement that you encountered on February 23rd?
Yes.
I'd move exhibit 16 through 54.
I'd ask that the court delay that decision until I get a chance to cross-examine on some of these pictures.
I'm satisfied that she's laid the foundation for them. Certainly, cross-examination is permissible, and whether they get published to the jury is another issue, but I'm going to receive the photos based upon the foundation that's been laid, and we'll go from there.
Thank you.
Your Honor,
Yes.
further argument as to Exhibit 45, there's an objection that's more prejudicial than probative. And then as to 46 and 47, they're duplicitous, essentially the same pictures, but maybe a different angle. And same thing for 51 and 52, that they're kind of like doubles. So that's my objection.
Okay, very good. Go ahead.
Thank you. So apart from photographing the scene and assisting Ms. Czarenski with collecting those items, is that the sum of your involvement in the basement on February 23rd?
Yes.
Were you involved in part of this investigation in another location on that day?
Yes.
And where was that?
It's an off-site storage facility.
And what did you do when you got to the off-site storage facility?
We processed a vehicle that we had a warrant signed for.
And do you recall what sort of vehicle it was?
Yep, it was a Town and Country minivan,
Remember the color?
gold.
And at that point, it had already been transferred to the Green Bay Police Department facility?
Yes.
And what was your role, I guess, in processing the van?
I was doing photographs again, so I photographed the van itself and then items of interest, areas of interest.
Okay. Sandra, I'm showing what's been marked exhibits 55, 56, and 57. I'll ask you if you recognize those exhibits.
Yes.
And what are those exhibits?
These are photographs of the back passenger driver's side of the minivan, which includes a crock pot box and a body part inside the crock pot box, and then the crock pot box empty.
Okay. Are those photographs that you took?
Yes.
Do those appear to fairly and accurately depict the van as you encountered it on February 23rd of 2022?
Yes.
I'd move exhibits 55, 56, and 57.
Your Honor, objection to 56 and 57 on grounds that they're more prejudicial than probative.
Okay, well, I'll hold receipt of those then in abeyance. I'll receive 55 and rule on 56, 57 at the break.
Thank you. And your involvement with respect to the investigation of the van was strictly photographing the scene?
Yes, and then assisting Czarenski with swabs.
I want to ask you then about February 24th of 2022. Were you involved in any investigative steps on that date?
Yes.
And what specifically did you do on that date?
We went back out to the Stony Brook house and we processed that scene. We took additional photographs, we collected additional evidence, we swabbed additional areas. We also used an alternate light source camera, and then we did Blue Star as well.
And I'm going to ask you, what is Blue Star?
Blue Star is a chemical reagent that reacts with the hemoglobin in the blood, and it's a presumptive field test.
So it's a presumptive indicator of blood, but obviously it's not a lab test of sorts?
Correct.
Okay. Are you trained in kind of utilizing and conducting investigations using Blue Star?
Yes.
Okay. And I guess when you apply Blue Star to an area, what happens?
Areas that would be positive would glow.
And did yourself and any other members of your department apply Blue Star to areas of the basement?
Yes, sure.
Sorry, which areas?
The shower and the bed and floor area over by the bed.
And did you then photograph, I guess, the results of some of those testings?
Yes.
You exhibits 58 through 63. I'll ask you if you can recognize those exhibits.
Yes.
And what do you believe those exhibits are?
These are photographs of the shower area with just natural light or a white light, showing just different areas that were swabbed, so it would be a bunch of sample stickers. And then it goes into photographs of the Blue Star reagent, where I photographed it on the side of the shower, on the bottom of the shower, on the shelf of the shower, and then there's two photographs that show the floor area underneath the bed. Half of that area is concrete, half of it is a carpet, and then one photograph is then like a natural white light, and the other photograph is showing the Blue Star reagent.
Are those photographs that you took yourself?
Yes.
And those appear to be fair reproductions of the photographs you took on February 24th?
Yes.
I'd move 58 through 63.
Any objection?
No objection.
58 through 63 will be received.
And then I'd ask permission to publish as well.
58 through 63?
Yes, sorry, 58 through 63.
You can publish those to the jury.
Thank you. All right. I feel a little hard with the glare. There's also a screen in front of you, Ms. Andrae.
Screen's
So,
right down there, if you can see it.
Does this appear to be Exhibit 58?
Yes.
Okay. And what does this depict?
Just an overall photograph of the shower area. You can see a bunch of stickers throughout the shower. It's sample stickers for areas of interest that we swabbed. But this isn't just like a natural white light.
Essentially, this is your naked eye looking at the shower.
Yes.
All right. And then Exhibit 59.
So that's going to be the edge of the shower, and that's that blue star reagent reacting on the edge of the shower, and that's actually the left side.
Okay.
It's a photograph of it.
All right. So the sort of bluish highlighted area, is that the blue star reacting in those areas?
Yes.
All right. And then Exhibit 60.
Yep, so that's an overall photograph of the bottom of the shower, and that'd be the blue star reacting with that floor area and drain area of the shower. And then you can see on the right-hand side is the sides of that little like ledge.
Okay. And is that then 61?
Yep, and then 61 is an overall photograph of that ledge with the blue star reagent reacting in that shower.
And then are we looking at Exhibit 62 at this point?
Can you repeat yourself?
Sorry, is this Exhibit 62 that we're looking at? It's a little hard with the glare.
Do you need the light off over there?
If we could, Judge. Ah, that light. All right, so it was. All right, so is this Exhibit 62?
Yes.
Okay, and what does Exhibit 62 depict?
This is the floor area outside of the shower, and I did originally describe it as that of the rug, or not rug, of the carpet in the concrete area, but it is outside the shower. It is very hard to see printed also as well. And you can see the pipe going into the little shower drain right there, and the shower is on the right-hand side.
So this essentially, it's difficult to see, but it shows that shower drain area that we observed earlier, Exhibit 58?
It's a different drain.
Okay. Yeah, which drain is this?
This is the outside drain. So there's a drain inside the shower, and then there's a drain just outside the shower. And the drain from the shower itself drains to this drain.
Okay. So then I'm going to pull up Exhibit 58 quick. Which drain are you referring to as being depicted in Exhibit 62?
The one that's on the very bottom of the photo.
Okay. Sort of looks like on the concrete level as opposed to in the shower itself?
Yes.
All right. So then Exhibit 63, actually I will have to pull that up. All right, so are we looking at Exhibit 63 then?
Yes.
Okay, and what area is Exhibit 63 depicting of that basement?
This is the concrete and the carpet area that's underneath the bed. We moved the bed to search underneath for any items of interest, areas of interest.
So the area that we're looking at in Exhibit 63, was this, I guess at one point, under the mattresses that were located in the basement?
Yes.
Okay, and you said you had to move those mattresses to see this area?
Yes.
And I guess the area that we're looking at, Exhibit 63, is that, I guess, suspected to be blood or other biological material?
Yes.
The mattress itself, the top mattress that was in the basement when you were there on the 23rd, did that have an area of blood spot on it?
It did have red substance, yes.
I guess in your observations, did it appear that the red substance we're seeing in Exhibit 63 had sort of soaked through the mattress at all, or was it, I guess, were you able to determine its origin at any point?
It did soak through the mattress, and we did look into it further to see how far, but not to determine where it came from.
Okay. I guess how far did it soak through the mattress?
Calls for speculation objection.
It's based on a direct observation.
Yeah, I'll overrule the objection. Go ahead and answer it.
So how far had it soaked through the mattress?
It went through multiple layers of the mattress. I don't know exactly how many inches it went down.
Sort of you're talking about the top mattress?
Correct.
Okay, not the other mattresses that were below it?
Correct.
There wasn't signs of soaking through or anything like that in those mattresses?
No.
Okay, thank you. Then I want to ask about February 25th of 2022. Did you assist Michelle Czarenski with processing items of evidence on that day?
Yes.
And what, I guess, items did you process?
We processed the shampoo bottle, we processed Clorox wipe container, shout bottle, a bunch of knives, the crock pot box, a rag, a towel, a pair of shorts, and there might have been another thing. We processed a bunch of evidence that day.
Sure. So what was, I guess, your role specifically in processing those items of evidence?
So I took all the swabs that day and then collected all the samples for that. And then I also dusted for fingerprints and then collected the fingerprints that were obtained.
I'm going to show you it's previously been marked exhibits 11, 12, 13, and 15. Do you recognize what those depict?
Yes.
And I'm going to ask to publish 11, 12, 13, and 15, Your Honor.
Any objection?
No.
All right, those can be published.
All right. So once we come through here, okay, so does this appear to be depicting exhibit 11 that we're looking at on the screen?
Yes.
Okay. And what is exhibit 11 depicting?
It's a photograph of the shout bottle. It also has a latent that's labeled on it as latent 2.
Okay, I want to pause here and ask about that. So what are latents?
Latents are going to be fingerprints that are not visible to the human eye unless they're processed with either like a powder or a chemical or with super glue, or you can also do different lights at oblique angles as well.
Are you trained in, I guess, dusting or whatever the word is, items for fingerprinting?
Yes.
All right. You've done that in the past on cases?
Yes.
It's part of your common duties in the evidence department for the Green Bay Police Department?
Yes.
All right. So the sort of black, I guess, substance that we're seeing on the shout bottle, what is that?
That is that powder. So once we took all of our DNA samples from this exhibit, then I dusted it with a traditional black powder, and then we searched it and then labeled any latents that were, I guess, deemed suitable or showed any ridge detail for comparison purposes.
What do you mean by a latent being deemed suitable?
So there's a difference between having like an outline or what looks to be a fingerprint or like a smear of a fingerprint. Fingerprints are ridges. So if you have enough ridges and minutia, you'd be able to do comparison purposes. So with fingerprints, you need enough, and there's not essentially deemed what you need for enough. It's just that as a comparator, you would have to be able to look at it and see if you have any enough unique characteristics to make a comparison and say it would be a hit.
So there are times, I guess, when you observe something that looks like a fingerprint, but you're not able to compare it to anything. Is that fair?
Yes.
All right. So as we look at Exhibit 11, then, appears to be a label called Latent 2. What does that signify?
That's the second latent that was located while we were processing this evidence that day.
The first latent, was that able to be developed any further?
No.
This second latent print, were you able to compare that to any other known fingerprint?
Yes.
And in the course of this investigation, did you have cause to compare that to a fingerprint card of Ms. Taylor Schabusiness?
Yes.
And what were the results of that comparison?
Latent 2 was a hit. I don't remember which finger offhand. It's all written in the details.
Okay. But there was a comparison, or a match, I suppose?
Yes.
Be fair to say that you processed a lot of items of evidence in this case?
Yes.
All right. Would refreshing your details help you remember the match that was associated with Ms. Schabusiness?
Yes.
All right. Showing you Exhibit 64. Do you recognize Exhibit 64?
Yes.
And what is that?
This is my set of details that I wrote for my comparison that I did on May 14th, 2022. And it's for the comparison of 4 different latents that were collected for this case, one being latent 2.
I'd ask you if you could review Exhibit 64, and I'll then ask if that helped refresh your recollection with respect to the comparison of latent 2. Please just let me know when you're completed.
I'm all good.
Okay. And in comparing latent 2 that we're looking at here, what comparison was able to be made with respect to Ms. Schabusiness's fingerprints?
It was a hit to the right middle finger of Schabusiness's 10-print card.
And I guess what's a 10-print card?
Anytime someone gets booked into jail, there'd be a 10-print card collected or a palm print card collected. And then it would be essentially connected to that record.
Okay. So I then want to look at Exhibit 12. Does that appear to be Exhibit 12 that we're projecting here?
Yes.
Okay. And Exhibit 12, does that depict the same shout bottle as Exhibit 11?
Yes.
Sort of on the different side of it?
Yes.
And there's a sticker that's affixed to that. What does that signify?
That is latent 3, so that's the third latent that we located in this case when we were processing the evidence.
And was latent 3 able to be compared to any other known sample?
Yes.
Okay. And in comparing latent 3, was one of those fingerprints you compared it to that of Ms. Schabusiness?
Yes.
And were any matches made?
Yes.
And what did latent 3 match with?
Latent 3 matched with the right thumb of Schabusiness's 10-print card and hit with the left ring finger of Schabusiness's 10-print card.
So there were multiple, latents or fingerprints that were located in this area?
Objection leading.
Overruled.
Yeah. So were there multiple, fingerprints located in this latent 3 area?
Yes.
Okay. And then want to ask about Exhibit 13. Is that still in front of you? Is that what we're looking at here?
Yes.
Okay, and what is Exhibit 13?
This is a knife with a brown handle and silver blade, and it's the photograph of it showing 2 different areas of interest that we were going to swab, one being the handle itself and one being the blade.
And did you take any swabs from that item?
Yes.
Where did you swab on that item?
One was from the blade and one was from the handle.
So we're looking at 13 here. Sample 14 and 15 are sort of shown in labels. Are those the different areas that you would have swabbed?
Yes.
Okay, so for instance, sample 15 of this exhibit, that would have been the blade area.
Yes.
And do you recall what areas of the blade you swabbed?
The entire blade.
Okay, including the silver part and the red part?
Yes.
Your Honor, I've got an objection. We've got a knife up on the screen. I thought that was 13. Now he's talking about 15, so.
So
Go ahead. Go ahead.
sample 15 is the swabbing of the blade, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, and this is still exhibit 13?
Yes.
Okay,
Okay.
sorry.
The labels next to them, I think, 15 and 14.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Just hard to see on the screen. I see it now.
Sure. So the sample that you took of the blade area, how did you collect that sample?
We always use sterile, clean gloves. One person puts gloves on, they don't touch anything. Someone else assists with handing them a swab. So then they are holding the swab, the person that has the sterile gloves on. The assister would put distilled water on the swab itself, and then the person that's swabbing would swab the item or area of the item that is getting the sample taken for.
And then, is that the process and protocol you used in this case?
Yes.
What did you do with the swab once you collected it?
It goes into a swab box, and then the swab box itself and swab gets entered into evidence as an exhibit.
And is that what you did for sample 15 here?
Yes.
And you then entered it into the Green Bay Police Department evidence room?
Yes.
Thank you. Then is exhibit 15, court exhibit 15, is that still in front of you?
Yes.
Okay. And what does exhibit 15 depict?
This is a photograph of the inside of the crock pot box, and there is a sample sticker on the glove that's in the photograph, but it's very hard to see as it was washed out with the flash or with the camera, with how much light it was pulling back in.
Did you process the crock pot box as well in terms of swabbing it?
Yes.
What area did you swab, if you recall?
I believe it was the red substance inside the box.
Sort of on the bottom of the box as we're looking at it?
Yes.
All right. And that sample that you collected of that area of the box, did you use the same protocol in collecting this swab as the previous one we talked about?
Yes.
Okay, and that was also entered into evidence at the Green Bay Police Department?
Yes.
Thank you. Did you also, apart from those items we just reviewed, have the chance as part of this case to swab a item that was recovered that was described as a dildo?
Yes.
Okay, and you were asked to, I guess, process that item further?
Yes.
Do you recall the date that would have been?
That was March 4th, 2022.
What number is that?
Yeah.
All right, I'm showing you exhibit 65. Do you recognize exhibit 65?
Yes.
And what is that?
It's an overall photograph of the packaging and of the dildo along with the sample 1 sticker next to it.
And is that an item of evidence that you would have swabbed in this case?
Yes.
Okay. And the photograph as well?
Yes.
All right, you took the photograph.
Yes.
Thank you. I'd move exhibit 65.
Any objection?
No.
65 is received.
The sample sticker that's sort of denoted in that photograph, what does that signify?
So that's sample 1. And typically when we start a new day, even if it's the same case, we'll start over with sample 1 through whatever we end up going to, just so that there's no confusion on duplicating samples. So this would be sample 1 because this was a new day that I was processing this single item.
The swab that you took of that object, where specifically were you swabbing, if you remember?
It was the entire thing.
Okay. And that swab that you collected, was that done in the same manner that you described earlier?
Yes.
Was it also then similarly submitted into the evidence room?
Yes.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have nothing further.
Mr. Freilich?
Exhibit 65, the dildo, why did it take so long to have that swabbed?
Sometimes items don't get swabbed right away, and then later in the investigation, detectives will request items to be swabbed. So I was just requested to swab this.
Okay, and that was done on March 4th of 2022?
Correct.
Where did you locate it?
Locate.
Where did you do the swabbing?
Oh, at the station, so at the Green Bay Police Department.
Okay. So on February 23rd of 2022, you worked with forensic specialist Czarenski to process a gold minivan, correct?
Yes.
Was it a Chrysler Town and Country minivan?
Yes.
And that was at the storage facility?
Yes.
And you processed the minivan for DNA, latent prints, and other items of interest, is that correct?
Yes.
And you had a chance to look at it, correct?
Yes.
You walked around the outside of it?
Yes.
You saw the inside of it, correct?
Yes.
Who else was there besides you and Specialist Czarenski?
There was multiple detectives and then also a medical examiner's office, including a doctor and one of their investigators.
Was it Dr. Tronkita and Petra Schwab?
Yes.
What time of the day were you there, do you know? Like, did you get there in the morning, in the afternoon?
For the vehicle or
Yes, for the vehicle.
for the vehicle?
Yeah.
That was in the afternoon.
Okay. How long were you there at the storage facility?
Maybe an hour, 2 hours.
Okay. And you took pictures?
Correct.
And then you met other detectives there, Detective Liberta, Detective Cassie Pacala, Detective Bry, Detective Scanlon, Dr. Tronkita, and Investigator Petra Schwab, is that right?
Yes.
You took pictures of the interior and the exterior of this minivan, correct?
Yes.
And you labeled and photographed areas of interest, is that fair?
Yes.
And Specialist Czarenski did the swabbing, is that fair?
Yes.
The van, did you find 2 papers for a Wisconsin certificate of vehicle registration for that vehicle?
Yes.
Was that for a Scott M. Tomes?
Yes.
And that paperwork was found in the glove box?
Correct.
And then you found, did you find a Wisconsin title and license plate application for Scott Tomes for this vehicle in the glove box as well?
Yes.
And then you also found a DMV registration receipt in the glove box, is that fair?
Yes.
For what you knew, the owner of this vehicle was Scott Tomes, correct?
Yes.
Did you watch as Specialist Czarenski removed items from the trunk?
Yes.
Did she open the gate of the minivan, or did someone else?
I don't remember.
Okay. But you were there and you're watching what was going on, correct?
Yes.
Observing, correct?
Yes.
This is a minivan, so it has a side door that slides, correct?
Yes.
Inside the vehicle, was it such that you saw a crock pot box, correct?
Yes.
And that was sitting inside of a laundry basket, correct?
Yes.
Inside the laundry basket, there were clothes that were folded or stacked, correct?
Yes.
And this laundry basket was sitting on a seat behind the driver's side?
Yes.
There was also a cooler in this vehicle, correct?
Correct.
There was absolutely nothing in the cooler, correct?
Correct.
You did not find the crock pot box. That was Specialist Czarenski, correct?
Yes.
And Specialist Czarenski removed all the items from inside the crock pot box, correct?
I believe it was Dr. Trinkrita that did remove the items from the crockpot box.
Okay. And you put labels on anything you found to be of interest, correct?
Yes.
There were areas of interest that were swabbed and processed for DNA, is that fair?
Yes.
And then they would be given sample numbers, correct?
Yes.
And is it true that a mistake was made because there were two different areas of interest that were labeled by a sample 12 by mistake?
Correct.
And there were a total of 14 samples collected from the vehicle, correct?
Correct.
Tell me a little bit about the mistake that was made. What happened there?
I labeled samples 1 through 12, and then Czarenski labeled samples 12, the second one, and then 13. I guess I wouldn't know. We probably relayed the message that we thought we had less samples, but we didn't.
Okay. How did you rectify that then? Did you take some action to fix it?
Fixing it, I guess, would just be describing the samples itself. So when we enter them into evidence, they get a description of what areas that sample is truly from.
You also photographed some items that Specialist Czarenski found, correct?
Yes.
One being an empty pill bottle for Scott Tomes for oxycodone, correct?
I don't recall what the bottle was, but yes, I did take a photograph of a bottle prescribed for him.
And that was in the driver's side door, correct?
Yes.
The next day, on February 24th of 2022, you and Specialist Czarenski followed up by processing the residence at 829 Stony Brook Lane, correct?
Correct.
Can you tell me why you didn't go over to Stony Brook Lane the same day on February 23rd?
We already worked long hours, and everyone needed to take a break and get some sleep and rest.
And that's kind of standard practice, yes?
Yes.
So then, what time did you get over to Stony Brook Lane on February 24th of 2022? If you know, like, was it morning, was it the afternoon?
I don't remember.
Okay. Do you know how long you were there?
I believe it was for a couple hours.
Okay. And where did you investigate, or where did you look around? Was it the whole house, just the basement? Can you tell me?
Just the basement.
Other detectives were there as well?
Yes.
And did your partner, Specialist Czarenski, ask for assistance from an evidence technician at the Ashwaubenon Public Safety Department?
Yes.
And that was to utilize the ALS camera?
Yes.
Does the Green Bay Police Department have a camera that it can use for alternate light source investigations?
We now do.
Okay, but at the time you didn't have one?
Correct.
Were you trained to use this device back on February 24th of 2022?
I did not use it, and no, I was not trained.
Okay, you were there kind of like for observation?
Yes.
And so was it evidence technician Holly Moss that was using the camera and taking the pictures and doing all of that?
Yes.
Okay. The blue light, the exhibits 59 through 63. I don't know if you have them up there. There's a lot of exhibits. But those particular exhibits, the blue light, what does that signify?
That's the blue star reagent reacting that's a presumptive test for the blood.
So The blue means blood?
Yep,
Presumption?
presumptive, yeah,
Okay. Could it be something else?
yes.
What could it be?
I know that it does react with different chemical reagents, like cleaning supplies. So the chemicals in there, such as bleach, but I don't know the list of what it all reacts with.
But certain chemicals can cause the blue light?
Yes,
It could be like a false positive. You might think it's blood, but it's something else?
yes.
Okay. And I think it's Exhibit 58. I try to take good notes. Do you have that in front of you?
Yep.
Is that the shower?
Yes,
It shows the inside of the shower and a drain inside the shower, right?
yes,
And then it also shows the shower drain, let's strike that. It shows the shower with a drain inside, and then it shows a drain on the outside, correct?
yes.
The blue light was coming from which drain, do you know?
It was from the drain inside the shower.
Inside the shower?
Right.
For all of those exhibits 59 through 63?
No, there's one photograph that shows the drain on the outside of the shower. So 62.
Okay. Can you turn your attention to exhibits 46 and 47, please? Do you have them?
Yep.
Garrett, can I approach?
May?
Thank you. Both of these photographs, Exhibit 46 and 47, basically depict the same mattress, correct?
Correct.
And the mattress has a gold-colored blanket on it, correct?
Correct.
There's some clothing items, correct?
Correct.
And a phone, correct?
Correct.
The pictures are the same, aren't they?
I wouldn't say they're the same, but they show part of the same area.
They show the same mattress, the contents on the mattress, is that fair?
Yes.
Okay. And then, thank you. Could you turn your attention to exhibits 51 and 52? Please. Pam, do you
Okay.
have those there? You have them?
Yep.
Your Honor, could I approach again?
You may.
Thank you. Exhibits 51 and 52 both depict drains, correct?
Correct.
The drain that's outside of the shower, is that fair?
Yes.
And these drains have like some sort of a black hose that filters into the drain, correct?
Correct.
And then there's a clear plastic hose that also goes into it?
Correct.
And the drain has circular holes that are throughout the drain, is that fair?
Correct.
Exhibits 51 and 52 are the same drain that's outside of the shower, is that fair?
Yes.
Thank you. If you could direct your attention to Exhibit 45. You have it?
Good.
Could I approach one more time?
Sure.
Exhibit 45 is the teal tote that we're talking about, correct?
Correct.
Did you see that at the Stony Brook Lane property?
Yes.
Was that on February 23rd of 2022?
Yes.
Where did you see it?
I saw it sitting next to the bed.
Okay. By the mattresses?
Yes.
Was that kind of like in the corner by the wall?
Yes.
And that was processed by you taking some pictures?
Yes.
Did you do any swabs of it?
Yes.
Where did you swab it?
We took a sample of the substance inside of the tote.
Anywhere else?
I don't recall.
When you initially saw the tote, was there anything on top of it, or was it just exposed?
There was items on top.
What was on top of it?
Miscellaneous clothing, a rope.
Did you remove the items off of the tote?
No.
Who did?
I believe it was Detective Scanlon.
Okay. Did you watch that process unfold?
Yes.
With regards to the mattresses, was it such that there were 3 mattresses that were stacked on top of each other in the basement by the wall?
Yes.
Were they basically all of the same thickness?
Yes.
And on the top mattress, there was blankets and the phones and things of that sort, fair?
Yes.
Did you do any scientific testing as far as the blood going through the mattress at all?
Can you re-ask that question?
Well, did you do any kind of formal testing as far as how far or how deep the penetration was with regards to the blood into the mattress?
We did cut through the mattress to look to see if it continued through the layers of mattress, but I don't believe that we took a photograph of the depth itself.
Okay. Did you do the cutting?
No.
Okay. Someone else did?
Yes.
Exhibit 63, the concrete and the carpet, when you move the mattresses, did you do some swabbing and testing of whatever was on the floor?
Yes.
Where did you do the swabs? Because it's kind of a big area.
We labeled different areas on that floor along either spots that were red in substance or they reacted with the Blue Star reagent.
Was it your understanding that there was a cat in the house, that there was a kitty litter box down there?
Yes.
After you took all your samples, what did you do with the samples? Did you send them somewhere?
They all got entered into evidence with the Green Bay Police Department, and then it's up to the detective and the crime lab how many samples can be sent and which ones to send.
So the detectives are the ones that send the samples into Madison?
Correct.
To the state crime lab?
Correct.
That's how that works, correct?
Correct.
Okay. As far as the drain cover that we just talked about, did you have anything to do with moving the drain cover at all?
No.
Okay, nothing further. Thank you.
Redirect?
Briefly, so to be clear, when you were asked questions about like the ALS versus the Blue Star, those are different things, right?
Correct.
Okay, so the Blue Star that we observed the images of, you are trained in conducting sort of those investigations?
Yes.
All right. You were asked then questions about the shower drains. The drain itself in the shower, when you were kind of doing your processing of the scene, were you able to determine where it drained to?
Yes.
Where was that?
It drained to that floor drain right in front of it.
Okay. So there are 2 drains that we looked at earlier, but essentially they lead to the same one that's in the floor.
Well, the drain in the shower leads to the second drain, yes.
Okay. That's all I have. Thank you.
Anything on that, Mr. Fraley?
No.
Right, thank you, you're excused.
Your Honor?
State.
Your Honor, I know that you said that you would hold argument on an exhibit or two till the break. Will I have a chance to at least argue that at some point?
Yes.
Okay.
At the next break.
Okay, all right.
State have a next witness?
He will be lengthier, and we would propose to publish some of those, I think, disputed exhibits through that witness, so potentially.
Okay, I think we'll take a 7-minute break. We'll be back at about 3:45. All rise for the jury.